Illegal immigration has been a complex and contentious issue in the United States for decades. Among the many countries contributing to this phenomenon, Mexico, El Salvador, and India stand out as major sources of undocumented immigrants. The reasons behind this migration vary, ranging from economic hardships and violence to visa challenges and smuggling networks. This report examines the top 3 countries contributing to illegal immigration, exploring the driving factors, demographic trends, and the broader implications for U.S. immigration policy. To support the channel and ensure you don't miss out on future videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Now let's jump in. Number 10. Mexico, the long-standing leader. Mexico has historically been the largest source of illegal immigrants to the United States. As of 2022, approximately 4 million unauthorized Mexican immigrants resided in the U.S., making up about 37% of the total undocumented population. While this figure marks a decline from previous years, when Mexican nationals constituted more than half of all illegal immigrants, Mexico remains a dominant contributor. Several key factors drive this migration. Economic conditions continue to play a significant role, as many Mexicans seek better job opportunities and higher wages, escaping poverty and limited employment prospects at home. Violence and crime, particularly from drug cartels and organized crime groups, also compel many to leave in search of safety. Additionally, family reunification is a major motivator, as a large portion of Mexican immigrants have relatives already living in the U.S., further encouraging migration. Recent trends indicate a decrease in Mexican immigration due to factors such as improved economic conditions in Mexico, stricter border enforcement, and changing demographics among potential migrants. However, despite this decline, Mexico remains the primary source of illegal immigration to the U.S., with many individuals continuing to seek better opportunities and security north of the border. Number 9. El Salvador, a nation in crisis. El Salvador has seen a significant rise in illegal immigration, with approximately 750,000 undocumented Salvadorans residing in the United States as of 2022. This growing trend is largely driven by extreme violence, poverty, and political instability, forcing many to flee their home country. Gang violence is one of the most pressing issues, as El Salvador has one of the highest homicide rates in the world, primarily due to gang-related conflicts. Many young people face recruitment by gangs, and refusal often results in threats or violence. Economic hardship further exacerbates the crisis, as high unemployment rates and limited job opportunities leave many Salvadorans with little hope for financial stability. Natural disasters, including frequent earthquakes and hurricanes, have also devastated infrastructure and livelihoods, pushing even more people to seek refuge abroad. U.S. immigration policies have played a significant role in shaping migration patterns from El Salvador. Programs such as Temporary Protected Status, TPS, have allowed many Salvadorans to remain in the U.S. legally due to unsafe conditions in their home country. However, shifting political landscapes and policy changes continue to create uncertainty for these immigrants, influencing their long-term prospects and status in the United States. Number 8. India, the emerging source. India has rapidly emerged as a notable source of illegal immigration to the United States, with an estimated 725,000 undocumented Indian immigrants residing in the country as of 2022. This marks a significant increase from previous years, with migration patterns differing from those of Mexican and Salvadoran migrants. One of the primary challenges Indian migrants face is obtaining legal visas. Strict requirements related to education, English proficiency, and sponsorship make legal migration difficult, pushing many to seek alternative, unauthorized routes. Economic opportunities in the U.S. also attract many Indian migrants, as the country offers higher salaries and better living standards compared to India. Unlike migrants fleeing extreme poverty or violence, many undocumented Indian immigrants belong to middle-class backgrounds but seek greater financial advancement abroad. An increasing number of sophisticated smuggling networks have emerged, facilitating illegal entry into the U.S. These operations often charge exorbitant fees, sometimes exceeding $100, making it a costly yet viable option for those determined to migrate. The demographic profile of Indian illegal immigrants is distinct, with most being young males between the ages of 18 and 34. These individuals are primarily driven by aspirations for career advancement and economic mobility rather than fleeing immediate danger. As illegal immigration continues to be a pressing issue, understanding the diverse motivations and demographics of these immigrant groups is crucial in shaping future U.S. immigration policies. Each country presents unique challenges and trends, requiring targeted solutions to address both border security and humanitarian concerns. Number 7. Guatemala, a country in crisis. Guatemala has a long history of migration to the United States, with significant waves occurring during times of political instability and economic hardship. As of 2022, an estimated 675,000 Guatemalans were living in the U.S. illegally, a number that has steadily increased due to ongoing socio-economic challenges and violence. Several key factors contribute to the high levels of illegal immigration from Guatemala. One of the most pressing issues is violence and crime, as the country suffers from high homicide rates, gang-related violence, and domestic abuse, pushing many to seek safety elsewhere. Poverty and economic instability also play a significant role, as a large portion of the population lacks access to education and employment opportunities, prompting migration in search of better prospects. Additionally, Guatemala's vulnerability to natural disasters, such as hurricanes and earthquakes, has led to widespread displacement, further fueling migration patterns. The demographic profile of Guatemalan immigrants reflects a young, predominantly male population, with 57% of migrants being men, many of whom fall between the ages of 18 and 65. Family reunification is another key factor, as many migrate to join relatives already living in the U.S. However, the journey north is fraught with dangers, including threats from criminal organizations, extortion, robbery, and sexual violence. Despite these risks, thousands of Guatemalans attempt the journey each year in hopes of securing a better future. Once in the U.S., many live in a state of uncertainty due to their undocumented status, working in low-wage jobs without legal protections, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation. The constant fear of deportation and limited access to essential services only adds to the challenges they face. In recent years, there has been a sharp increase in Guatemalan migrants arriving at the U.S. border, with arrivals rising fivefold from 2020 to 2022, reaching approximately 233,000 in 2022 alone. This surge reflects the ongoing crises in Guatemala that continue to push individuals and families to flee. Number 6. Venezuela, a growing crisis. Venezuela's deepening political and economic crisis has led to a sharp increase in migration, with around 270,000 Venezuelans estimated to be living illegally in the U.S. as of 2022. This figure represents a significant rise in recent years as worsening conditions at home push more Venezuelans to seek refuge abroad. Several factors drive this migration, including severe political instability that has plagued the country since 2013. Widespread protests against the government, political persecution, and suppression of dissent have forced many individuals to flee in search of safety. The economic collapse in Venezuela has also been catastrophic, with hyperinflation leading to extreme poverty and shortages of basic necessities such as food and medicine. Human rights violations by government forces further exacerbate the crisis, compelling many to seek asylum elsewhere. Venezuelan migrants tend to be younger professionals, many of whom are well-educated individuals struggling to sustain themselves amid economic turmoil. Their journey to the U.S. is often complex, requiring travel through multiple countries, including Colombia and Central America, as they seek asylum or other legal entry options. Like Guatemalan migrants, Venezuelans face numerous dangers along the way, including criminal activity and harsh travel conditions. Upon arrival in the U.S., many Venezuelans navigate a complicated immigration system. While some qualify for Temporary Protected Status, TPS, due to conditions in Venezuela, many remain undocumented and struggle to obtain legal status. Number 5. The Philippines, a historical perspective. The Philippines has a long history of migration to the United States, dating back to the 20th century. As of 2021, approximately 2 million Filipinos were living in the U.S., making them one of the largest immigrant groups in the country. Among this population, an estimated 310,000 are undocumented immigrants, often referred to as TNT, Tago ng Tago, meaning hiding and hiding in Filipino. Several factors contribute to illegal immigration from the Philippines, with economic opportunities being one of the main drivers. High unemployment rates and underemployment push many Filipinos to seek better wages, and job prospects in the U.S. Family reunification also plays a significant role, as many undocumented immigrants have relatives already living in the U.S., encouraging further migration. Additionally, the pursuit of higher education and professional advancement is another key motivator. However, strict U.S. immigration policies have made obtaining legal visas increasingly difficult, leading many to overstay their temporary visas or seek alternative means of entry. The journey from the Philippines to the U.S. can be complex, with many undocumented immigrants initially entering on legal visas but overstaying due to financial hardship or family obligations. Others turn to illegal entry, often facilitated by smuggling networks that charge exorbitant fees. The demographic profile of undocumented Filipinos is diverse, including both young adults seeking employment and families with children. The majority settle in states with large Filipino communities, such as California, Texas, and Hawaii. Once in the U.S., undocumented Filipinos face numerous challenges. The constant fear of deportation creates anxiety and uncertainty in their daily lives. Limited access to essential services such as healthcare and education further compounds their struggles. Many undocumented immigrants are also forced into low-wage jobs without legal protections, making them vulnerable to exploitation by employers. Despite these challenges, the Filipino community remains resilient, finding ways to support one another while navigating the difficulties of living without legal status. Number 4. China, a growing source of undocumented immigrants. China has become an increasingly significant source of illegal immigration to the United States, with recent estimates placing the number of undocumented Chinese immigrants at approximately 400,000. This growing trend reflects the challenges many Chinese nationals face in their home country, prompting them to seek better opportunities abroad. Several factors contribute to this migration, including political repression, as individuals who oppose government policies or advocate for democracy often face persecution. Economic disparities also play a role. While China has experienced rapid economic growth, the gap between urban and rural areas remains vast, pushing many individuals to seek better living conditions and financial stability in the U.S. Additionally, educational aspirations drive some Chinese migrants to enter the U.S. on student visas. But difficulties in securing employment or reintegrating into China's workforce lead many to overstay their visas and become undocumented. The journey to the U.S. for Chinese migrants can be complex, often involving travel through multiple countries before reaching their destination. Some enter legally on tourist or student visas but later become undocumented when their permits expire. Others attempt illegal entry through smuggling networks that facilitate crossings at great personal risk. The demographic profile of undocumented Chinese immigrants is diverse but includes a significant number of young professionals and students. Many settle in urban areas such as New York City and Los Angeles, where established Chinese communities provide crucial support networks. However, once in the U.S., they face considerable challenges. The constant fear of deportation creates a climate of insecurity, preventing many from seeking legal assistance or reporting crimes. Limited access to healthcare and education further isolates them, while many find themselves working in low-wage jobs without legal protections, making them vulnerable to exploitation. Number 3. Colombia. A historical perspective. Colombia has had a long history of migration to the United States, particularly in the late 20th century when political violence and economic instability drove many to seek safety abroad. As of 2022, an estimated 130,000 unauthorized Colombian immigrants were living in the U.S., reflecting a growing trend as more Colombians flee hardships in their home country. Several key factors contribute to this migration, with violence and armed conflict being one of the most significant. Colombia has faced decades of internal strife involving guerrilla groups, paramilitary organizations, and drug cartels, displacing millions and prompting many to seek refuge. Economic hardship is another major factor, as high unemployment rates and widespread poverty push many Colombians to seek better opportunities in the U.S. Corruption and government mismanagement have further worsened economic conditions, making it difficult for citizens to find stability. Additionally, political instability and ongoing corruption have fueled emigration, as individuals seek safety and a more secure future for their families. The demographic profile of Colombian immigrants is diverse, consisting of young professionals, families, and individuals escaping violence. Many settle in cities with large Colombian communities, such as New York, Miami, and Los Angeles, where they find support networks and job opportunities. The journey to the U.S. can be dangerous, with some migrants entering on temporary visas but overstaying due to economic struggles or family commitments. Others resort to illegal entry, often relying on smuggling networks that charge exorbitant fees for passage. Once in the U.S., undocumented Colombians face significant challenges. The constant threat of deportation leads to a life of uncertainty and fear, while the lack of legal status prevents access to essential services such as healthcare and education. Many are forced into low-wage jobs without protections, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation by employers. Despite these hardships, Colombian immigrants continue to seek a better future in the U.S., driven by the hope of escaping instability and achieving economic security. Number 2. Brazil. An emerging source of undocumented immigrants. Brazil has become an increasingly notable source of illegal immigration to the United States, with an estimated 200,000 undocumented Brazilian immigrants currently residing in the country. This growing trend is driven by several socio-economic factors that continue to push Brazilians to seek better opportunities abroad. Despite being one of South America's largest economies, Brazil faces persistent economic challenges, including high unemployment rates and inflation, which have left many struggling to secure stable employment. Political instability has further exacerbated migration, as widespread protests and dissatisfaction with government policies have fueled uncertainty and concerns over the country's future. Social issues such as high crime rates and deep-seated inequality also play a role in motivating migration. As many Brazilians seek a safer and more prosperous life in the U.S., the demographic profile of undocumented Brazilian immigrants is diverse but primarily consists of young adults in search of work opportunities. Many have settled in states with large Brazilian communities, such as Florida, Massachusetts, and California, where they can access social and professional support networks. The journey to the U.S. is often complex, mirroring that of many South American migrants. Some initially enter on tourist or student visas but later overstay their permits, while others attempt illegal entry through smuggling networks, often facing significant risks along the way. Once in the U.S., undocumented Brazilians encounter various legal and social challenges. The fear of deportation creates a climate of anxiety, limiting their ability to seek assistance or report crimes. Many also struggle with limited access to essential resources such as healthcare and education, while those in the workforce often find themselves in low-paying jobs without protections against exploitation. Number 1. Dominican Republic. A historical perspective. The Dominican Republic has had a long history of migration to the United States, particularly since the 1980s. Today, approximately 164,000 undocumented Dominican immigrants reside in the U.S., making up about 1% of the total unauthorized immigrant population. The Dominican immigrant community is one of the largest in the Caribbean, with many seeking better economic opportunities, political stability, and family reunification. Economic hardship remains a primary driver of migration, as high unemployment rates and widespread poverty push many Dominicans to seek higher wages and job security abroad. Political instability, corruption, and social unrest have also contributed to migration, prompting individuals to look for stability and a safer future. Additionally, strong family ties play a crucial role in Dominican immigration, as many undocumented immigrants have relatives already living in the U.S., making family reunification a major incentive for migration. The demographic profile of Dominican immigrants is diverse, including young professionals, families, and individuals escaping economic hardship or political uncertainty. Many settle in urban centers with established Dominican communities, such as New York City, Miami, and Boston, where they find cultural and economic support. The journey to the U.S. can be perilous, with many initially arriving on temporary visas but later overstaying due to financial struggles or personal obligations. Others resort to illegal entry, often relying on costly smuggling networks. Once in the U.S., undocumented Dominicans face the same difficulties as other immigrant groups. The constant threat of deportation creates stress and uncertainty, while the lack of legal status restricts access to healthcare and educational services. Many also work in low-wage jobs without protections, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation by employers. Illegal immigration remains a complex issue shaped by a variety of factors unique to each country. While Mexico continues to be the primary source of undocumented immigrants due to its geographical proximity and historical migration patterns, the rise of migrants from countries such as El Salvador, India, and Venezuela highlights how different socio-economic, political, and humanitarian crises drive immigration trends. Understanding these dynamics is essential for developing effective immigration policies that address border security while also considering humanitarian concerns. As global conditions continue to evolve, so too will the patterns of illegal immigration to the United States. That wraps up our look at the top countries contributing to illegal immigration in the U.S. The factors driving migration are complex, ranging from economic struggles to violence and policy changes. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for shaping future immigration policies and discussions. If you found this video informative, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might find it useful. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates on important topics like this. Before you go, click on the video on the screen now for more in-depth discussions and analysis. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.